Welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Road Trip with Jen. I took a small vacation over the summer, and now I'm back. Tonight, my first guest for the new season will be...
Welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Road Trip with Jen.
My first guest this year...
I took a small vacation over the summer, and now I'm back. Tonight,
where is this coming from?
Welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Road Trip with Jen. My first guest is...
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Tonight, my special guest is Al Santariga. He is from the Bronxville Paranormal Society. He is also the co-director of the New York State UFO Project. And he is also the chapter director for the New York chapter director for the North American Dogman Project. Welcome, Al. How you doing tonight?
Hey, how you doing?
I wish it was Friday. Tell you, been a busy week so far, and it's only Wednesday.
Yeah, it's hump day today, so you know we're almost over the hump.
We're getting there.
Yeah, a few more hours.
A few. By then, we'll be asleep. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I'm an experiencer, an investigator. I don't consider myself a researcher. I'm an investigator. I go out and I investigate. I do my research after I do my investigations. I've had a lot of paranormal experiences throughout my life. My brother is a parapsychologist. My mom had, she would get premonitions all the time. So it kind of runs in my family. My sister's an intuitive. So it's just natural for me to go down this road as an investigator.
I know you've had a lot of experiences since you were young. Do you mind telling us about those real quick? I know you have a really good, not, I don't want to say it's a story, but experience yourself that you'd like to share with us tonight.
Yeah, I don't call them stories, because if you call them stories, then people think you're making them up. I call them experiences, because that's what they are. I've something that I physically experienced. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know where to start. I've had so many. I'm at a loss to start. I mean, when I was 12 years old, long story short, I see my first Sasquatch down in Florida. And, that was an amazing sight. I've had dogman experiences. I've had UFO experiences. I've seen shadow figures. Never had a ghost or an apparition that I've seen with my naked eye. But I've captured them in photographs, and just one thing after another. There was a time in 2012, I believe it was, from the month of October to December, I've seen a UFO every single night in the sky, a different kind of craft every single night. And I was really freaking out about it because I didn't know if I was losing my mind or not, and I was talking to my brother. And he said, you should join a group. There's a group down in Yonkers that, UFO-based group, and talk about it. May help you. And I joined that group. And long story short, that's where, from that group, the Bronxville Paranormal Society grew out of. I picked my team members from that group, and that's where we began. That's where the BPS story begins.
I had no idea that's how you started. I actually saw a UFO just once, and that was it. I'm still looking in the sky for more.
I see them all the time.
One day I'm going to make my way up there to visit.
Yeah.
So I was reading your biography on the BPS website.
Okay. What does it say? Because I don't even know what it says. Bryan wrote it.
You talked a little bit about your experience when in Florida, and I knew about that one.
Okay.
And you answered the UFO question, but what is an insectoid? Can you describe that?
Wow, yeah, that is a crazy story. You want me to talk about that real quick? I'll try to keep it short.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was on the job working as a mailman. That's what I've been doing for the last 30 years. And I was working at the north end of Yonkers, which has a lot of wooded area. And they had all these like $1 million condos and complexes back there. And what I used to do when I finished the last building is I would take the aqueduct, which runs from upstate New York, the Catskill Mountains down into the city, and I would take that aqueduct back to my car where I parked my car. And one day I felt like I was being followed, and it ran me out of the woods. And then the next day I went back and I said, I'm not going to be run out of the woods today. And I ran as I was going back to my car. Again, I felt like I was being followed. Only this time I grabbed the pepper spray off the bag I had 2 cans of pepper spray, and I grabbed them off the can and I ran to the area where I felt whatever was watching me from, and I sprayed it down with both cans of pepper spray. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything run away, but I did notice that on this particular block where it started off private homes and then it went to these $1 million condos and stuff, I noticed that everybody who had a private home had like 10-foot fences behind their house, and everybody had a big dog. And I'm like, I'm a mailman, and I got to go to everybody's house. And these guys, who's got a Doberman, who's got a Shepherd, who's got a Pit Bull. And I became friendly with one of the guys who was an ex-NFL football player. And I became friendly with him. And he tells me the story that he got up one night in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, relieve himself. He looked out the bathroom window and he seen what looked like a 6-foot guy jump over his fence. At that point, he only had like a 4-foot fence in his backyard. And he sees this guy jump over his fence. So he grabs a baseball bat and he goes down to the back door and he hears digging at the back door. And he looks out the window and there's this creature, for lack of a better word. And he called the cops. When the cops got there, they told him, oh, it wasn't a creature. It was another guy just dressed up like in a Halloween costume or some kind of nonsense like that. So then I started talking to all the neighbors. Like Saturday was the big day to see all the residents. They're cutting the grass, do food shopping, this, that, and the other thing. And I started talking to all the residents, and there was this one woman who I called Big Mama. She ran a halfway house for battered women. And she told me a story that something was clawing through her door, and her pit bull went after it, and whatever this thing was almost killed her dog. And they had to call the cops, and the cops came, and they actually saved the dog, but the creature ran off. And what happened was everybody on that block ended up getting steel metal back doors, so this creature couldn't dig through it. Long story short, I noticed at the end of the condo, the block of the condos, I noticed that when in the fall, when the kids would come in from school, or the women would come home from picking up the kids from school, the mailboxes were in the back of the building that overlooked the woods, and they had like a breezeway that attached 2 really big buildings together that overlooked courtyards and everything. And I noticed that all the kids and all the women that got off the elevator just ran to their apartments. Nobody walked or looked outside, and nobody ever sat in the courtyard, which I couldn't understand. So one day I'm putting the mail in the boxes, and I feel like somebody's watching me. Somebody's watching. So I turn around and I'm looking into the woods, and I say, I know you're there. I feel you watching me. What's ever there is, I know it's watching me. And I get a flash of green eyes, just like flash the green eyes at me. And the way I described the creature is that it looked like William Dafoe in the Spider-Man movies, the Green Goblin. That's what it kind of looked like. And so it flashed its green eyes at me, and then a couple of days later, I was back there again, and I went into the courtyard and I said, okay. I went into the courtyard and I was just talking to the woods, and I'm sitting on top of a picnic table saying, okay, I know you're here. You're watching me. Why don't you come out and make yourself known? And I had my back to the woods. And at that point, I felt something was there. So I turned around and there was this creature standing up on like a 7-foot retaining wall that looked over the courtyard. He was looking at me. And so I got up on top of the picnic table to make myself look bigger because I didn't want this thing to be towering over me. And I looked at it and it looked at me and we just looked at each other. And again, it flashed its eyes and then it just ran off into the woods. So I started talking to the superintendent of the buildings, and these buildings were really high end. They had pools up on the roof and everything. And I started talking to the super, and the super was telling me, the Spanish guy is telling me it's a chupacabra. And I was like, what the hell is a chupacabra? I never heard of a chupacabra at that time. And he's telling me that this thing, they had to change all the sliding glass doors on the buildings, on both buildings, because they were made out with wood frames, and they had to put all metal frames in. And he said that there would be times where this thing would climb up on the back patios and take lawn furniture, throw it on the whatchamacallit, the aqueduct. Some people, they would wake up and they would find their lawn furniture on that, like facing the building, like something was sitting in the chairs looking at the building. Another time, he said he was up on the roof putting the chlorine and stuff in the pool, the chemicals for the pool, and he didn't see anything in the pool. Bright sunny morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. He didn't see anything in the pool. He was putting the chemicals in at one end. All of a sudden, he hears the water splash at the other end of the pool. And he looks up. He doesn't see anything, but he sees footprints walking to the edge of the roof. And he's looking at these footprints, and he's like, what the hell? And he said, then the thing, whatever it was, it jumped from the roof of the building, which is like a 10, 12-story building, right onto the dirt, onto the aqueduct. And he said the footprint actually looked like alligator footprints. That's what he described it. He said, but it was invisible to the naked eye. He said, it came out of the water. I didn't see it. And they were scared to death to go up on the roof or go into those woods. And no one ever used the courtyard. It was, like I said, for a high-end building, there was a lot of turnover. There was people would only stay a year or just for the summer, and then they were gone in the fall. And I couldn't understand why until I came across this thing.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just an abbreviated version of it. There's so much more, but I know we got other stuff we want to get to. But yeah, I know it's a crazy story. It's just, I called my brother and I said, listen, because again, my brother's my go-to guy, and I was like, listen, I seen this thing. It looked like the Green Goblin, and my brother was like, the hell is the Green Goblin, And I sent him a picture of William Dafoe dressed up as the Green Goblin, and he said, whatever you do, don't ever, if you tell this story on the radio, don't ever call it the Green Goblin. People are gonna laugh at you. And I was like, listen, I don't care if people laugh at me or not. That's what it looked like to me. That's the only way I could describe it, and that's what it looked like. It was green. It had green skin. Looked like almost like a reptilian kind of skin, like a lizard or something, with a white belly, like an alligator's belly, and it had this weird looking insect kind of head, like an ant or something, and it had long arms and legs, and it had claws at the end of its fingers, and it had claws on its feet. And the vibe I got from it, when I was standing there just looking at it, we were just looking, sizing each other up, was that if this was alien, and I don't know if it was or not, it's living in the caves now in these woods. It was like it came from under the ground. That was the vibe I got, that it came from underneath the earth. Like it's living in caves. Where it came from originally, I don't know. But that was the vibe I got, because I knew that this patch of woods was really, really big. It went for miles. And there were caves in these woods. I knew that there were caves in these woods. And it was funny because, you know, here in New York, you could be 1 block away. You could be in like a high-end part of town. And the next block, you could be down in the hood. And everybody who lived on this street, and this street was like 3 miles long, and went from the hood to the really nice section of town. Everybody knew about this thing. Everybody, even like the gangsters knew about. Don't go on the aqueduct at night because the creature will get you. It's crazy.
So, is it gone now, or do you still deliver there? Or
no, actually, I haven't.
A little while.
I haven't been up in that area and got 20 years.
Oh.
You know, I transferred. Yonkers is a really big city. It has like 7 post offices. So I transferred out of there, and I moved on to a couple of different post offices for now. Now I just transferred back to one that I was at 10 years ago. So, but actually, what I'm going to talk about tonight is the post office that I just went back to, just transferred back to last week. So, yeah, I mean, that Green Goblin thing was insane. It's just strange. I mean, it must have had some kind of clothing technique that it could cloak itself, because like I said, I knew something was watching me. You know, when you get that vibe, someone's just staring at the back of your head.
Oh, yeah, I did.
And when I thought it in my head, I said to myself in my head, I know you're there. I know you're watching me. Show yourself. And it flashed its eyes. It must have been reading my mind, like telepathically or whatever, because it flashed its eyes. Just like I knew it was in those bushes when it was following me on the trail, you know, on the road there. So, but it was very, very strange. And I knew another woman who was attacked by it. There was a girl who lived in one of the buildings whose father was a judge, and he lived in the buildings, and she had an apartment on the first floor, and her first floor window opened up to the aqueduct. And she was coming home from the city one night after work. She went out with a bunch of friends partying, and she parked in front of the aqueduct, and this thing came out of the woods and attacked her, and she ran to her house. Now her house had like a courtyard, and then a breezeway, and then inside an outside hallway and an inside hallway. And she ran to her house, and she ran inside all the doors, and she was able to keep one of the doors closed with her foot while she opened the other door to the lobby to get in. And the creature was trying to get through the door, and when she went around to her apartment, the creature must have either caught her scent or something, because it went to her back window and started ripping out her back window, because her window frame was wood. So she called her father down, who was the judge. He lived on the other side of the building, the north end of the building. He came down with his gun, and he just went around into the woods and opened fire on it. And next thing I knew, she had like 125-pound German Shepherd in her apartment, and she was packing heat. It didn't take her long to get. Yeah, it was crazy.
That is a really creepy story.
Yeah.
And I listened to Sasquatch Encounters, the one with Wes, Sasquatch Chronicles.
Yeah, Sasquatch Chronicles, yeah.
And they were talking about on one of the episodes, I listened to them while I'm at work.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lady, I think her name was Barb or Connie, and she had a video of an invisible, something in the woods that was invisible. And they said the way you could see it, it looked like the Predator. That's the only thing they could compare it to. It was invisible, but you know how it kind of, on the movie,
you see the light, yeah, light, your reflection, yeah.
Yep, they have a video of that. I can't find the video, but I would like to see it.
Yeah, no, I'd never seen that video either, but I'd like to see it myself, yeah.
If I find it, I'll send you the link.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to see that.
Yeah. So there's lots of places we can discuss, but I know you've got a really good good experience for us. And I know you and Bryan are going to come back on in October.
Yep.
And one day, I promise I'm going to make it up that way, and I want to go out with you guys and investigate. I really do. I know I said that before. So.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, we just scheduled the Sasquatch Investigation for October.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I got people coming in from like Philadelphia and Jersey and Ohio or Pennsylvania. I mean, Pennsylvania people are coming in from all over that want to go. You know, so I said, okay, I'll take you out. I got because this hot spot we have, the Sasquatches are pretty patient with us, so we never had anybody get hurt or anything. So I figured if these people want to go out, I'll take them out. And I took a couple of women out last year, and we had an amazing experience. One of them said she'll never go in the woods again, not even during the day. And the other one said she can't wait to go back. So
that would be me.
Yeah.
I want to go back.
Yeah. So, and you know, like I said, it's just we're pretty lucky as far as a team goes. It seems like we never go out expecting to find anything. Even if our psychic tells us you're going to see this, you're going to see that, we just blow it off and we say, yeah, sure. And she's usually 100% right all the time, but we don't go out expecting to find that. We just go out and whatever happens. And we've been very lucky every time we go out, you know, we always capture something or we always have some kind of experience, you know, so pretty amazing stuff with us.
Yeah, I talked to you. It's been a few weeks ago. I know I'm going to make it up there. Probably not next year, but there's a spot I want to go with you guys. One day I would like to ask you about, I saw you went to Letchworth Village.
Yeah.
That's a place I want to hit too.
We had an amazing experience at Letchworth Village. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another show that we could go on and do shows. I know you have so much you've encountered and so many experiences, but I do have a quick question.
Sure.
How did you get involved with the NADP?
That's my partner, Bryan, volunteers me for everything. And he called me up one day and he says, guess what? And I was like, what? He goes, we're now co-directors of the the North American Dogman Project, the New York State Chapter. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm in, so pretty easy. But Bryan volunteers me for everything. So he doesn't even ask. He just does it. Then he tells me later.
By the way, now I know they're having boot camp on the 19th of October. I won't be there. Are you going to go?
No, I'm just getting back to work the beginning of October from being out with cancer treatments.
Right.
So I won't be able to take off from work. You know what I mean? I'll just be like my first couple of weeks back. So I won't be able to take off.
And I'm so glad you're doing better. I know I would message you and see how you were doing and stuff.
Yeah, I had a lot of people. Believe me, the community really, impressed me with all the prayers and everybody calling on me and checking on me all the time. Yeah, no, knock on wood, everything worked out okay. I'm good as gold. Good.
Yeah. You're too ornery to leave us, right?
Yeah, it's not the way a guy like me goes out. You know what I mean? Maybe a Sasquatch tear me to parts, piece by piece, something like that. But not cancer. No way.
All righty. So tell us your fabulous experience that you had. You told me a little bit about it. And I've been waiting. I've been counting down the weeks to go back on air and hear what happened.
Yeah, this is a story that I've had to sit on for like 30 years because it happened at work and everybody that I'm going to talk about tonight was still working. So I couldn't go and talk about this experience with all these other guys that experienced it, without their permission. And I know none of these guys would have given me permission to talk about it. So I waited for everybody to retire. I'm the last one to go, so I'm still around. So 1989, I'm started at the post office, North Yonkers, and boss asked me, no, I started going out with in the first couple of weeks they were training me. I was going out with this guy, Sam, big Polish guy. And we would go to do his routes. And as we went out 1 or 2 days, and then like the third day, he starts telling me about this crazy story. He said, "Did you ever hear of Son of Sam?" I said, "Yes." He was the 44 caliber killer. He lived in Yonkers. He's during the 80s and all that stuff. And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, my buddy Tom did his building. He used to be the mailman at his building." I was like, "Yeah." From what I understand, it's a really nice building, high end, doorman, Olympic-sized pool in the back, the whole 9 yards. And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Until this happened to my buddy." I said, "Well, what happened to your buddy?" So then he starts telling me about how the guy's been delivering mail there for like 10, 15 years, never had an incident. One Halloween, he goes down into the basement to use the restroom. He was in the restroom relieving himself when he heard chanting out in the parking garage. Now, the parking garage led to the back of the building where the pool and the tiki bar and all that other stuff was. So this bathroom was basically for anybody who was at the pool. This was the pool bathroom. So he hears this chanting. He doesn't know what the hell's going on because it's October. There's really nobody. The pool is closed. There's nobody in the back. And so he opens up the door to the bathroom to see what's going on as he's getting ready to come out. And he sees like 4 hooded figures chanting, doing some kind of summonings thing, and there's smoke billowing out of this fire on the ground. He said, and the fire was in the shape of a pentagram. And he said, out of this black smoke, this gray smoke came out. And when this gray smoke came out, this entity appeared there. And he says, I don't know if it was a demon, if it was the devil himself, I don't know. But he said, this thing, when it seen this guy, Tom, at the bathroom door, went over to him and told him, for what you've seen here today, I will have your soul. So Tom freaks out, goes running upstairs, goes back to the post office, tells the boss what happened, takes a leave of absence. In the meantime, this guy's life is crashing and burning. He becomes an alcoholic. He loses his house. He loses his wife and kids, and he's just spiraling out of control. And it's all because of what he's seen in that bathroom. While he's out, another route comes up to bid in the central post office, and he bids on it. And he gets this route, and he's working on this route, and it's again in a really nice residential area, nice upscale area, Yonkers, and he becomes like the mayor out on the route. He knows everybody. All of a sudden, he stops drinking. He gets an apartment on the route. Him and his wife are talking about getting back together. All this stuff and his life is changing. All this good stuff is happening to him. And, and what Sam is telling me these stories, I don't know if he's pulling my leg or not because I'm a greenhorn. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, is this guy full of shit or is he really serious, And I said, but what Sam doesn't know is that my brother-in-law works at the Central Post Office. And I'm going to ask my brother-in-law if this really happens. So Sam goes on telling me that this guy, Tom, starts delivering. He's got the last street on his route. It's a little dead-end street, has 4 houses on it. And a big, park-like area at the end of the block, like a grassy field with a big tree. And he starts telling, he says, well, what happened was every time Tom would get to the last house on the route in the beginning of the summer, there would be a black cat waiting for him. And the black cat would attack him. And he would spray the black cat with dog spray, and it didn't faze this cat. So Tom started holding all the mail for these people's house. The people call up and they want to know why they're not getting mail anymore. They said, Tom It's delivering the mail. Everybody else but us, So yeah, so he asks Tom what's going on, and Tom says, I can't deliver the mail. Their cat attacks me every single. They let their cat out. The cat attacks me. So the supervisor says, okay, I'll go there on Saturday and talk to these people. Saturday comes, he goes there and he brings their mail out to them, and he talks to people, and he says, listen, if you want your mail delivery, you got to keep your cat inside because the cat is attacking Tom every single day. And these people look at him like he's got two heads. They're like, what are you talking about? We don't even own a cat. So there's not even any cats on this block. Everybody's got dogs. So he says, okay, that's weird. So then he goes back to the post office and he asks my brother-in-law, Donnie, he says, do you have an issue with delivering mail to that last house on such and such a street? And Donnie says, no, I don't have a problem doing it. He does it once a week when Tom is off. He's this floater. He says, no, I never had an issue with that house. He says, no, I've never seen any cat, never. And I says, okay. And, Donnie, who's been the floater on that route for like 5 years, so he never seen anything before Tom even got the route. So then he grabs this guy, Joe, who's the truck driver, delivers all the packages in that area, and he says, hey, Joe, have you ever seen a black cat at this house that, Tom says it's attacking him. And Joe says, I've been delivering packages in that neighborhood for 15 years. I've never seen a black cat on that street. So no one's ever seen this black cat but Tom. So as the time goes on, the summer goes on, this cat starts talking to Tom. I don't know if it was like a mental telepathy kind of thing or what, but the cat starts telling him that by the time the summer ends, I will have your soul. Now, it's basically saying the same thing to him that the demon said to him. So Tom freaks out. Says, I'm not going to deliver that house anymore. I'll put their mail in with their neighbors. They can get it from their neighbors. So summer comes and goes. And one day, the end of the summer, Tom never comes back off the route. So the supervisor's waiting for him. This is long before cell phones and everything. Supervisor's waiting for him to come back. He never come back. So the truck driver, Joe, who's usually the last guy back, comes in and he says, hey, did you see Tom out there? And he says, I didn't see Tom, but I seen his car out on the route. I know he's still out there. So he says, could you do me a favor and go get him? I want to close the post office and go home because we got a long weekend. It's a holiday weekend. I think it was Labor Day or Memorial Day, one of those days or something. So Joe says, okay. He jumps back in the truck. He goes back out to the route. He goes right to that.
You just...
I just what? I didn't hear you.
It skipped and froze.
Okay.
I got to it started doing it a little bit when they asked Joe if he had seen him out on the route.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, so the supervisor asked Joe to go out and get Tom and bring him back because the guy wants to go home. So Joe goes out there and gets to that last street. And he drives down that street, and there's Tom hanging from his neck from the big tree with the mailbag just hanging there. So Joe drives to the first businesses, calls the police, calls the post office. Everybody comes down, and he hung himself with his mailbag on the tree in front of that lady's house who had the cat. So, of course, when Sam tells me this story, I'm not buying it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I'm not buying this story, But he doesn't know that I'm going to talk to my brother-in-law because my brother-in-law lives right around the corner from me. So that night I go home and I talk to my brother-in-law and I said, is there any truth to this rumor? This is what I heard. And he said, yeah. He says, that's absolutely true. That dude came to the station and Joe went out there and Joe found him, this, that, and the other thing. Well, eventually, I ended up working at that station, and I was hanging out with Joe one night at the bar. We were shooting pool, and I asked him if there was any truth to the rumor, and Joe said, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Everything that Sam told me was exactly what happened to this guy, Tom. So time comes, I'm back in the North Station in Yonkers, North Yonkers, and the boss says to me, I need you to hold down this route. This is the same route, Tom's route. The guy who had it was hurt. He's out of work with a bad back for like a year. He says, I need you to hold this route down. But whatever you do, don't go in the goddamn basement to use the bathroom. And I said, why? And he wouldn't tell me why. I said, he goes, I don't care if you jump back in your car and you drive to the post office. Just don't go down in that damn basement. And I took the route over like in November. So I had it all through the winter. I had it in the summer. I had a great time on that route in the summer because I was going down to the pool every day to give people like certified letters and packages and stuff. And I was getting, hot dogs and hamburgers. They're giving me ice cream and soda. It was great. They were taking care of me. I love these people. They loved me. I was like, well, there's no way. So then October rolls around. And I know, and this is very strange. This was the kind of building that decorated for every single holiday. Every single holiday they decorated for, except Halloween. And it had tons of kids in the buildings. I said, it doesn't make any sense. Why did I do? So, once everybody got familiar with me, I was talking to the super, and I asked him to bring me up to David Berkowitz's apartment. I said, did you rent out Berkowitz's apartment? And he said, no, they don't rent it anymore. They use it for storage. I said, well, can I see it? And he's like, yeah, no problem. So we got in the elevator, and as we're going up to the upper floors, you could feel the energy getting heavier and heavier and heavier. The doors open up to the elevator, and you step out to this long hallway, and it was just like on top of you. We walk down to the end of the hallway. The super opens the door, says, okay, I'm not going in. You can go in. So I go into this apartment, and I'm in the foyer. I'm in the kitchen. I'm in the bathroom. I'm in the living room. And the feeling of dread and despair is so heavy in this apartment. I'm thinking, how could the neighbors not feel this on either side of them? How could the neighbors upstairs or downstairs not feel this oppression that I'm feeling in this apartment? I go to his back window, the living room window, overlook the pool, overlook the courtyard. Now, the reason they called David Berkowitz son of Sam is because he said that his neighbor who lived behind him, Sam, who was a Yonkers cop, had a German Shepherd, a retired police dog, that Sam's dog would stand up by the gate every night and talk to Berkowitz and tell him to kill people. And so they named him Son of Sam after Sam's dog. And I went into his bedroom, and again, you could see out the backyard. So I was like, I started thinking about it. Berkowitz is saying that Sam, the dog, was telling him to kill these people. Tom's saying that the cat is talking to tell him he's going to die. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So then I come out of that apartment. Halloween comes, and I go there for Halloween. And this apartment got like 4 giant bags of mail. This building was huge. And I'm delivering the mail. Now I got to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, man, the doorman's not there today. Calls out sick on Halloween. Okay. So I can't use his bathroom. So I go to the super's door, and I ring his bell. Super's nowhere to be found. So I can't use his bathroom. So got no choice. I got to go down into the basement. I got no, this is what I got to do. I've been down to the basement 1,000 times over the year, and never had any issues. Why should today be any different? So I go down in the basement. I'm in the garage. Again, it's October. The pool is closed. The garage is underground. It's closed. It's quiet. There's nobody in the building. No kids running around. It's early in the day before the kids get out of school. And as I'm relieving myself, I start hearing chanting in the garage. And I was like, oh, no way. There's no way I'm opening up this door, And I hear this chanting. So I crack open the door, and I just peek out the door. And there's like 4 hooded figures over a smoking pentagram doing some conjuring. And so I quietly close the door, and I sit with my back against the door, and I just sit there. And I sit there, and I sit there. Eventually, the super comes out, and he sees all the mail in the lobby. He figures I'm around somewhere. He can't find me. He comes downstairs. He says, Al, you in the bathroom? And I said, yeah. And he says, well, are you? He thought I was stuck, you know? And he says, I'll take the door off the hinges. I'll get you out. And I said, I'm not stuck. There was something going on in the garage. And he goes, what do you mean? So I opened the door, I got there, and I start talking to him. And I bring him over to the spot where they were all encircled the pentagram. I said, there was 4 people right here with hoods doing some kind of devil worshiping. And there should be a burn mark on the floor where the pentagram was burning, but there wasn't. But up on the ceiling was all the black soot from the smoke. So this guy Jose, he sees the soot on the smoke. He says, I got to clean the ceiling before the people come home from work, because these people are very picky. They complain about everything, you know. So I go upstairs. I deliver the mail, and I go on my way. He cleans the soot. I get around the corner to this old Polish woman's house. She was a sweetheart. She had a first floor apartment, and she lived on the top 2 floors above. And both of the mailboxes were down at the bottom. But every day I would go up. I would bring her mail up 2 flights of stairs and put it between her storm door, so she wouldn't have to go up and down the steps every day, because she was really old, you know. And she was very, very nice to me. She would leave me like a piece of cake every day, coffee when it was cold out, iced tea in the summer. She always left me a little something. So that day I come around the corner, and she's waiting for me, and I tell her, so you're not gonna believe what happened to me. I just had the most craziest experience, you know.
Cut out again.
What happened? What happened?
It keeps going in and out.
Okay.
The last thing I heard was iced tea.
Okay. So the old lady leaves me iced tea every day. So I come around the corner that day after having that crazy experience in the bathroom.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can't hear me anymore?
Yep, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So I start talking to this old lady, and I tell her
about
my...
Cross your fingers.
Okay, fingers are crossed. So I start talking to this old lady, and I tell her about my experience in the building. And she said, you know, it's that damn park across the street. There's across the street from her house is this giant park. It's called Untermeyer's Park. And there's a lot of devil worshippers that worship at night in this park. And then she goes on to tell me a story about how she had a young couple move into the basement apartment, the first floor apartment, and they were fine for the first year they were there. And then the husband got connected with this cult, these devil worshippers that hung out in the park. And the woman got pregnant, and he brought the cult back to the apartment. And after the woman had the baby, like the baby was newborn, and I guess he was going to sacrifice the baby to the devil, because he had all these people in the apartment doing like this crazy rituals. Well, the mother was fighting with the father, and the old lady heard all this commotion going on downstairs. She called the cops. The cops came, kicked in the front door, and arrested all the cult members. The woman eventually got her son, her child, and she moved out of that apartment. She went to live back with her parents. So she said, but after those people left that apartment, she said that at night the lights would go on by themselves in the apartment. She would see the lights in the driveway on. She would hear clanging in the walls, banging in the walls. She would hear doors slamming. She would go downstairs, and there was never anybody there, but she felt the heaviness in the apartment. She was freaked out. She would shut the light and go back upstairs, and it would happen night after night. And at one point, there was a Polish priest visiting her parish from Poland, who she actually got to come into the apartment and do a cleansing. And this guy did an exorcism of the apartment and got rid of whatever was there, because when I went in there, when she was showing me the apartment, there was nobody living in it at the time. The apartment felt very light. It just felt like a normal apartment. There wasn't anything special about it. It didn't have any oppression or nothing. And she said, yeah, she went on. She said, it's that damn cult that's in the park every night. They worship the devil. They do this, they do that. And I think that those hooded people that Tom saw when he had his experience and the hooded people that I saw in the parking garage were residents of that building, because everybody in that building was like either a doctor or a lawyer, a businessman in Manhattan. You know what I mean? All high end people. I don't. Berkowitz was the only mailman in the building. And I think those people pulled the string of the cult that was in the park practicing black magic, because right next to the park is a big hospital. It's called St. John's, and my brother used to be the computer programmer for the hospital, and his office was upstairs on the 14th floor or something. And he said he used to work nights and he said when he would sit in his office at night, which overlooked the park, and he would see bonfires going in the middle of the park. And he said he just knew, you could just feel the energy coming, like that was up to no good. They were sacrificing animals and stuff in that park, and he was freaked out about it. He didn't like that park at all. And then many years later, my wife and I went to the park on a date, and we're hanging out at the park. We're having a picnic. Nice day. It was a beautiful day. Sun is shining. The birds are whistling. It's a beautiful day. And she says to me, she says, do you know where the caves are off of the aqueduct? And I said, yeah, where the devil worshippers, we did a lot of practicing in these caves. I said, yeah, I know where the caves are. She goes, would you mind showing it to me? I said, no, I'll show them to you. So we started to walk across the park. As we got closer, the park has these steps that goes from the top to the bottom, which is like almost 2 blocks worth of steps. They call them the 1,000 steps. And as we get to the steps, all of a sudden the wind picks up. It's getting really, really dark. It's getting really eerie. And it's just the whole atmosphere of the park changed the closer we got to the steps. As we're walking down the steps, we both hear a whoosh come over our heads. And we're like, what the hell was it? We both ducked at the same time, like a bird of prey or something went over us. And we stopped. And we both looked at each other. And she goes, did you hear that? I said, yeah. Did you feel that? Felt the wind? Yeah. And we're both looking on the aqueduct. And we're just looking at this plain dirt, this aqueduct. But we're both feeling that there's something there looking at us. So she looks at me, and I look at her, and I say, you know what? Maybe the caves are not the way to go today. Maybe we'll do them another day. I said, I'll take you to the bird cage. They had this giant cage set up. It was it was part of an exhibit that was like a conch shell where they had plays in the park, Shakespeare in the park, and all this nonsense. But there was this big cage. They called it the bird cage. I think the official name of it was the crow's nest, but the guys who hung out there called it the bird cage. So my wife and I start walking up this park road, a regular paved road that the parks department used to haul out the trash and everything. And we're walking up this road, and we get to this. As we're walking up this road, we hear whoosh again go over our heads from behind us. Again, we both duck. We both stopped, and we look around, and right in front of us is this giant oak tree with this huge branch that comes across the path of the road, but it's like 40 feet up in the air. And we're both looking up at this branch. We're both looking up at this branch like that. We know there's something there, but we can't see anything. And I say to her, what are you feeling? And she says, I'm feeling like there's something, dark here. I said, yeah, me too. I go, what are you seeing? Now, there was an old 70s cult show called Gargoyles, and it was about the devil and his gargoyles living in a cave in like Arizona or something. But the creature who played the lead gargoyle looked like the devil himself, with the wings and the horns and the whole 9 yards. And my wife turns to me and she says, "You know that old cult movie, The Gargoyles?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she says, "I see the lead gargoyle, the devil himself up there." And I said, "That's what I see too." And I said, "You know what? Let's just get out of this park." And we left that park 30 years ago. We never went back. Never went back. And again,
I would. There's no way.
yeah, I mean, a lot, a lot of my guys want to go there and do investigations because of the history of the park, But that's above my pay grade when you start playing with dark stuff like that. It's just not who I am. I don't mind ghost hunting and stuff like that, but I don't play with demonic stuff. It's just not who I am. But so those are the stories about the Son of Sam building and Tom and it's funny now because now that I've been back to that old station, the Central Station, I got Joe's old truck run, so I'm officially Joe now. I do the parcels for that station, so I'll be going down that little street every day now, dropping off packages. And then every time I go down there, I'm going to think of that story too. Yeah, and it's funny because I asked my brother-in-law recently. You remember that story about that guy? Just, it's been like, 30 years since we brought it up. And he said, yeah, yeah. He goes, yeah, I remember that. That was crazy when that dude hung himself, It's like, and we, we talked about it 30 years later. And he still recounts everything by verbatim the way I was told it, So crazy stuff.
That's scary. And it's sad all in one.
Yes.
That makes sense. I actually had goosebumps when you were telling me about all that stuff. I was like, yeah. Oh no. But it is sad. It just, and I thought maybe he was hallucinating, but once you said you heard it and you peeked out the door, I was like, okay, it's real.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I heard that chanting, I knew right away what was going down. I was like, oh, no. Oh, God, no. I started saying the Lord's Prayer, But I never seen anything other than just black billowing smoke. I didn't see a demon or a devil or anything like that come out of the smoke. But I seen the figures in the hoods, and when those figures left, they had to go somewhere. And I'm thinking they just went back upstairs to their apartments, Because I didn't hear the garage door. That's
what I was going to ask. Do you think? I know you said there's stuff and like the Illuminati.
Nah, you broke up. I didn't hear a word you said. You were breaking up.
I guess what got me interested is they interviewed this. I don't remember, but it was last week. So I had been watching this stuff on the Illuminati. And I know they're. I'm sorry?
I didn't hear you. You said you were watching this stuff on Illuminati, and then I lost you.
So, do you think these people had all that money because they worshipped?
Yeah, I mean...
I've been watching all this stuff on the Illuminati and listening to it, and a lot of these people are rich. Do you think most of these people in this building worship the devil is how they got their money?
Probably.
Maybe?
Yeah, I would say so. I can't say all of them because it was a really huge building, but I would say there was definitely a good amount of them in that building. I think they were the ones pulling all the strings on the cult in the park. And like David Berkowitz said, that he wasn't the only killer, that there were other people out there killing with him. And he said that, that this, he was part of this devil worshiping cult, but nobody believed him. They just said, yeah, well, you had the gun, you have the bullets, it's you, Everybody just thought he was making shit up, but I believed him because I delivered to Sam's house, the guy who owned the dog. You know what I mean? Of course, the dog was long gone, but And you're back.
Yeah, they're after us. That's what it is.
Yeah, see, we're talking about them there.
Ever since we started talking about this, we've had issues. They're after us.
Yeah, now I don't know if it was, the Illuminati per se, but I don't think any of these people were that wealthy. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the one percenters, these people were all well off, doctors and well off, but I wouldn't put them in the Illuminati category. But there was definitely a cult there. I believe that in that building, and I believe that they were the cult that were running the. I don't remember the leader's name, but he had like a weird name for his group, like the Renowned Church of the Devil or something. I don't know, but I believe they were running him. They were telling him what to do and how to do things to conjure up stuff. You know what I mean? And I think he just recruited Berkowitz. Berkowitz got sucked in by these people, but I think he was a scapegoat. He got sucked in because he was a simple mailman, and these people were all highly educated professionals. So yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, the building was a beautiful building for years and high end, and so I mean, if I would have never had that experience in there, I would never gave it a second thought, except for the heaviness that I felt in Berkowitz's apartment. But other than that, I would have never gave it a second thought. But like I said, not only did like I said, what was strange to me was that they didn't decorate for Halloween. They would have the room. I forgot that room that where everybody met, the conference room or whatever it was called. They would have it decorated for every other holiday under the sun, and it was tons of kids in that building, tons of them, And why it wouldn't? Maybe because the people who run the cult think that Halloween is not a joke. You know what I mean? It's not all about candy and stuff, and maybe they felt that that was degrading Halloween, so they kept it pure by not doing anything for the kids or whatever. I don't know, but it was very strange, very strange. So it was a very sad story. Poor Tom passing away after he was finally getting his life back together, but very strange. Just to hang yourself with your own mailbag is so difficult because the strap is only so long. It's not a long strap. So I mean, I don't know how he did it. I honestly don't know how he did it. But yeah, that's just one of my crazy experiences, along with the Green Goblin, stuff like that. So next time I come on, I'll come on with Bryan, and we'll talk about all the Dogman stuff. And whenever you want me back again, we could touch on anything that you've seen in the what you call it, on the website or on the Facebook page or whatever. Because I try to post everything on both, so everybody gets to see it. So if you have any questions now about anything, just go ahead and ask.
You were talking about you and your wife saw a gargoyle.
Right.
I always understood that gargoyles were supposed to be guardians.
Right. The reason why we called it the gargoyle is because of the show from the 70s that was called the Gargoyles, but the leader of these creatures was like the devil. That was just the name of the show. That's the way we referenced it. Like I said, it's an old 70 cult classic movie that was really cheesy, but very one of those movies that you get hooked on.
I've probably seen it.
Yeah, and the leader of the Gargoyles, he was a big dude. I think he was like a retired football player, so he was a massive guy. And then with the bat wings and the horns and the makeup, he looked like the devil himself. And that's what we were both seeing with the devil himself, for lack of a better definition. But you know, we were seeing it in our mind's eye. We weren't seeing it with our own two eyes. So, you know, that was the image that was being planted in our heads.
I just Googled it. I know I've seen it.
I just Googled it.
Probably in the 80s, because I was born in the 70s. So I'm thinking of the Kids Gargoyle movie. Never mind.
Never mind. Yeah, like I said, it was an old
Yep, that's
classic.
one I was thinking of. Oh, here it is.
It was like
1972. Yeah, he's kind of
right?
creepy.
72, right? Something like that.
It was the year before I was born, so yeah.
Yeah, I know it was an old movie. Yes, I was like 10 years old when
Now,
I seen it.
It was made in 1972. You're still young.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm a realist.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so.
Me too.
So if you got time. But like I said, if you have any questions about anything else, if you seen anything you want to spit out there, go for it.
I keep internet's not working right tonight.
Yeah, the feed is really bad.
Okay,
I've never had this
have a question. It's a current.
With
It just happened, I think, last week. Have you seen?
I lost you. Have you seen? You said, have you seen what?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. What were you saying? Did I see what?
I didn't know who this was till I took my son to see him in concert. Post Malone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you seen the video with Zach Bagans and Post Malone?
With the divot box? Absolutely. Yeah.
The one where they're with the divot box?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I think I would, if I had that divot box, I'd bury it so far underground and I would never dig it up again. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Post is supposed to have all these incidents.
All this bad luck. Yeah. He had a lot of bad luck since he did that video. Yeah. I mean, I would think Zach would probably be more liable to get the bad luck than him, being that Zach was the one who actually touched it. But if he's a weak-minded person or not an atheist or something like that, and there's an opening for a demonic possession, then I'm sure those entities would try to take advantage of that, So if they attached itself to him, who knows? I don't know one way or the other, but I did see the video. Unfortunately, the video didn't have any sound, so I didn't hear anything on the video. It's just seeing the images.
Yes. I was wondering what they were said because he looked like he was kind of scared when he walked back in. And I know he's had his plane had to do emergency landing. He had that car accident. Then his house got broken into. Well, I've been watching stuff online, and they said that I don't remember what guy it was, but I watched a couple of videos last night, and they said that he had sold his soul to the devil to become famous, and his numbers are up. And now somebody else is saying that they're trying to take his soul back. But what got me was the way that Zach's supposed to be this big bad ghost hunter, on TV, and he just kind of pushed him out of the way and went out the door first and ran out and left him standing in there.
Yeah, but if you ever seen any ghost adventures, Zach is always sending someone else into the worst areas. He's always running out of rooms, screaming like, you know, a little girl or something, you know. And he hears something in the room, he comes out running, screaming. He should be running towards it to see what it is, not running away from it, screaming like a little girl, you know. But he's had
a good friend.
Huh? Yeah, he's a good friend. Yeah.
I thought, wow, he saves his ass first.
Absolutely, he always does. Yeah, he always does. But you know, he's been through some stuff too. He's had a lot of possessions over the years and a lot of exorcisms and stuff like that. It's taken its toll on him, I believe. You know, and opening that museum in Las Vegas. That's you know, that's just living with darkness. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure do. But that's all the questions I had.
Okay. So what do you think of Amy Allen from the Dead Files?
I'm not a big fan.
Not a big fan of hers?
I just
No. How come?
No. I don't know. I've watched that show a couple times. I've tried to get into it, and I just can't get into it.
I've met them both. Amy and what's his name, the cop, and he's regular guy, down to earth kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like a dude from the city. You know, typical Italian New Yorker. You know what I mean? But she's pretty special, up close and personal. She's pretty special. Pretty special. That's all I gotta say. I mean, she's pretty special.
Oh, you cut out again.
Yeah, I was saying that.
Cut out.
Amy's a pretty special person. Yeah, when you meet her in person, one-on-one, you know, like if you're doing an event and she's there, part of the celebrity thing, and you get time to sit down and talk to her and whatever, she'll blow your mind. Just blow your mind.
I know they came to now I forgot what it's called. It's over by Warsaw, the Barbie Hotel. And they told them they had some negative stuff there, and they came back and they got rid of it. And they were telling them things that they had never heard before. And I've investigated there. And it was interesting what we found. Al Capone used to come there and stay. And one of his henchmen supposedly got, I think she was a maid. He got her pregnant. And the night we were there, run down the hallway saying, help me, he's trying to kill me. And the exit door at the end of the hallway was locked, and no one had come up the steps or went down. So I think the place is haunted, and they were supposed to have came back and cleansed it and gotten rid of everything.
Yeah, but you know,
so I know they were.
You know how cleansings go. Sometimes they only last for a little while, and it comes back. You know, there's no guarantee after you do a cleansing that the energy is not going to come back, you know, tenfold. Sometimes, you know how it is in this line of work. You can cleanse it. You can cleanse a house today, and it could be good for 3 months, and then when it comes back, it's like 10 times worse. So, I mean, those things are not guaranteed, you know. And another thing, like we've done a couple of cleansings for people, you know, and I told them, I was like, you have to be vigilant when you do this. You have to be vigilant. You have to cleanse once a month. Yeah, we did. I'll tell you a quick story. I was on my way down to a meeting one time, and a woman called me up and said, I'm having all this stuff in my house. Could you come by? I said, well, I'll tell you what, it's on my way to the meeting that I'm going to. We were having an evidence review meeting, the team, and I said, I'll stop in real quick. I'll do a 10-minute 10-minute thing, and let's see what's going on, because I didn't know if this woman was on pills or whatever. So I go into her apartment, and you know, I feel like there's something there. So I start walking around the apartment. Once I go to this room, I feel like something's dodging me the whole time I'm there. I said, something is dodging me. I could feel something is dodging me. I call the team psychic up, and she starts telling the woman all this stuff. She sees a dead guy in the hallway. Her neighbor fell down the steps and died the week before. She sees a broken plaque with a family crest on it. Should be on the wall. It's on the floor. Get her off the floor. The family's not happy about that. And all of a sudden, I'm standing in the living room with this woman, and her dog, she had like a German Shepherd, starts running around us. And we're caught in this energy vortex. And this woman freaks out. So I get her into her room, and I put her on the phone with the psychic. Psychic is talking her down, getting her back to normal. And she said, take a picture of this hallway that leads into my room. I always see orbs going in and out of this hallway. Okay. I said, you see them with your naked eye? You get them in the picture. She said, no, I see them with my naked eye. I'm standing by the door of the bathroom door to take a picture of this hallway. When an orb comes out, stops, it does like this, like it sees me, and then it turns, and it was like someone, like you spooking somebody, turns and runs. I'm chasing it. It makes a right in her kitchen. I make a right in the kitchen, and it makes a left, and it goes out her back door onto her patio. So I was like, the whole time I was standing there with my finger on the trigger to take the picture, I never pushed the button. Because this thing was so close to me, I could have reached out and touched it with my hand. I never seen an orb before in my life with my own two eyes, especially that. So I ended up doing a cleansing in the apartment. I hit it with everything I got. We cleansed the apartment. Psychic says, okay, energy has been subsided. We pushed it all out. She thinks it's coming from the woods behind this woman's house. And she says she's not the only one having issues in this condominium complex. A lot of people whose apartments face the woods are having this issue. So everything is good. So I tell this woman, you have to cleanse religiously every month. So she does it. I gave her all the sage and everything. She does it for the first 3 months religiously, and she's living in the apartment very peacefully. Well, you know what? Like everybody else, once you get comfortable, you get lazy. She stopped saging, and it came back. And she had salt. She had salt across the back of her door, her patio door. And, of course, on time, the salt went away with the rain and the snow and the wind. And it came back. And now she says her apartment is just out of control. But she's living with a guy where before she was by herself, and this guy doesn't believe in the paranormal, and he won't let us come back in and cleanse. He says, nope, I don't believe in that stuff. Meanwhile, she says her dog just sits in the corner and barks up at the ceiling for hours at a time. Just sits there in the corner and growls and barks at the ceiling. And her boyfriend just says, oh, he's just being an idiot or something. But that dog is sensing something in that apartment. But I told her, I says, what did I tell you when I left? You have to be religious with this stuff. Otherwise, it's not going to stay away, because they're always going to try to get back in. And that's what happened. And so, she's stuck living in a hellhole now because her boyfriend won't let her cleanse. Yeah, but she wants us to come and do it. And I don't want to have any issues with anybody in their own apartment. You know what I mean? I'm not getting in between him or her.
Do it. You guys could go to work or anything, but I keep hearing something in there. My house was built in 1900.
Okay.
We have a little boy here.
Oh wow!
I've seen him in the living room. I thought Xander was walking around one night watching TV, and I was like, wait, he's sitting in the chair watching TV, and I saw this brown hair about his height. And I have some cabinet doors over here, and they were closed at the beginning of the show one night, and they were open at the end. And the lady I was talking to said she had seen a little boy climbing up on the cabinet.
Oh, wow.
And my daughter that was walking through here, she has seen a lady in white, and my oldest son has heard her and seen her as well. And I have to sage and salt. I haven't done it in a while myself, but I need to get that done. That's what I was going to say, is that when you sage, you have to do, like, I've had people say, oh, well, just sage it, you'll be all right. No, you won't be. And I'll interject. It'll be on like the Facebook pages or something, and I'll interject and say, no, no, no. If you haven't done it before, you can make things worse.
Oh, absolutely.
If you don't do it right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whenever
there was my friend Cindy. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you said your friend Cindy?
Yeah, she's also part of my team. She tagged me in this garage sale site. This guy was selling sage. And me being me, I said, oh, what do you use the sage for? Oh, you can cleanse your house. I said, oh, so what do you do when you cleanse your house? You just burn it. I said, so you don't do anything else? He goes, oh, no, you just fill your whole entire house with the smoke, and it'll get rid of everything. I said, have you looked at my profile? Like, no, why? And I sent him a screenshot. I said, I really don't think you need to be selling this product because you do not know how to cleanse properly. And he never answered me again.
Yeah, no, I mean, I tell people all the time not to do anything without discussing it with someone who knows what they're talking about. Even when I do a cleansing, I'll call the team psychic. I'll call like a priest that I know. I'll call a demonologist. You know what I mean? And I'll pick all their brains, and I'll say, listen, this is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you recommend? You know, and they all give me like tips, what to do or how to do it, or you know, whatever I'm dealing with at the time. I never just go and do it blindly. I always, because I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in anything. I don't claim to be, and I always ask advice for people who've been doing it longer than me and have more experience than me. So, you know, I always reach out to people. That's the one thing I'm famous for, is reaching out to people. You know, if I have a question, I don't hesitate to reach out to people. I'm not one of those guys that thinks I know everything. You know what I mean? Because I don't.
I sure don't. And I'm always asking questions.
Yeah.
I sure do.
You have to. That's the only way you learn. You know, is by asking questions and listening. And then after you heard it and you listen to it, think about what they said. Does it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? Because some people don't know what they're talking about, you know, and everything they can tell you could be all wrong. So, you know, you have to pick and choose.
I had a private investigation. It's been, what is this, 4 or 5 years ago? It's been about 5 years ago.
Wow.
And she had asked us to come in, and 2 of my former team members went in and investigated and told me what was going on. And we told her we would come back and cleanse. Well, between the time we could get back to her, she had went to another team that is now defunct.
Okay.
And they told her to bless her own holy water and to sprinkle it around. She said, things got worse. Can you come fix it? I said, I told you if you're going to talk to us, we should be the only team. And this is the exact reason. Because we would have never told you to bless your own holy water and to sprinkle it around. I said, They messed it up. Now you need to call them in to fix it. I said, because I'm not cleaning up their mess. They need to fix it.
Absolutely. I agree.
And I don't know what happened. Bless her own holy water. I told her, I said, that's why I asked you not if you're going to work with us, because what they told you was absolutely wrong. And she's like, it's worse now.
Behind you and through that doorway, is that those stairs that go up the roof? What is that over there?
No, it's bathroom.
Oh, I must be seeing a reflection of something in the mirror. I keep seeing something in the mirror, and
that's my bathroom.
Okay, I thought it looked like to me like a little kid sitting on the steps looking through the banisters.
That's the bathroom. No. Yeah,
okay.
You something.
Okay.
You probably are. I'm not surprised.
No, I just I seen it like 2 or 3 times. I wasn't going to say anything, but then I said, you know what? It's too many times not to say anything. But okay. Mirrors. I don't play with mirrors either.
I've been noticing. It's the bathroom, and I've been kind of looking in there too. But over here, that door is my basement, and I don't go to the basement. There's a lot of spiders down there, and it floods. But like, there's like that doorway there goes to my living room. Yeah, there's lots of stuff that I was here by it's really odd for me to be home alone.
Yeah.
My son's dad is normally here, but he was gone that day, and my mom had both my kids, and well, the 2 that live here, I have 3. And I kept hearing stuff in the living room. I was like, I was over here in the kitchen, and I was doing dishes, and I was cleaning, and I was getting stuff ready for dinner, and I kept hearing stuff in the living room. And I'd peek around. Over here is my kitchen. Like back in there, where it's dark, is where I was at. So I would peek around that corner and look in there. And then I'd go back to what I was doing. And then I'd hear something else. And I started laughing. I said, I know you're here. I said, I hear you. I said, I'm not afraid of you. Do whatever you want. I think it was the woman that stays here.
Oh.
I really do. Or the little boy. My daughter, this is a 2-story. And my daughter's bedroom is upstairs. And when we first moved here, she would hear knocks on the wall. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs, and the wall between her room and the other room, it's like storage right now. And she would hear knocks on the wall. And she said they came in one night and shook her bed.
Wow.
And
I guess the little kids wanted to play.
That's what I think so too. Yeah. And her friends spent the night, and they both saw a shadow up there. And I went upstairs and I talked to him. I said, I said, you're scaring her. I said, you really need to stop. I said, she's afraid to sleep up here. And ever since I went up there, she said she's not had a problem.
That's good. It was probably just a little kid wanting to play, someone to play with. You know what I mean?
That's
nothing malicious. Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything in my house, thank God, Believe me, my wife says, whatever you do, don't bring anything home.
I try not to. And one night we were just laying in my bedroom and stairs. And it's in addition to the original house here, my car bedroom downstairs, so she wouldn't have to go up and down. Lays at. We were just laying in there, stuff, and Xander says, "There's a scary man over there," and there she is, and she was talking about it, and then she said he was standing beside the bed. She freaked out so much. We went to my mom's house and spent the night.
Wow, yeah, that would definitely freak me out too.
Stage out. And working, and then all of a sudden she goes, she goes, you come through the bedroom into the living room. And she said he came in there, he was standing outside my bedroom door after I saged. And she said he turned around and walked through the wall that's right beside of me. She said he walked through there and went through the kitchen, and now he's gone. Do you remember that night? She says no, but I do.
Yeah, I believe you. Listen, Jen, I'm gonna get going. I'm running out of gas here.
Me too. I gotta get here early. All right. Well, anytime you want to come back on, you can.
Oh, thank you. I would definitely, definitely will come back on again. Absolutely, I'd love to.
All right.
So I'll see you next month with Bryan.
All righty. Have a good night. All right.
Good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Next week, we will have the National Ghost Hunting Day. Representative Maria on, and we will also, I will be investigating on the 29th at Thornhaven Manor together. That will be a live event that night on Shindig and Facebook Live. You're more than welcome to join us there and watch. And then I have a lot of guests coming up in October. And feel free to check out our website. And I will also be hosting the first annual Women's Para Retreat in Mansfield, Ohio next June. So go ahead, check that out. Go to our Facebook page and BSR Paranormals page. And you guys have a good night.